The Gospel hinges on one word: be it done, fiat. That applies to each soul here. In creating us, the Blessed Trinity made us little trinities. We have in us something of the power, the creative power that made us. And after creating us, our Maker stands back in awe at the majesty and mystery of what He has created. And in that spirit we see the Archangel on bended knees, sometimes in iconography wearing a dalmatic, the deacon's robe, beneath a creature, awaiting the creature's consent. That is to say, that the Lord of Hosts is wanting a yes, and with it is not free to act. The scene has been meditated upon by all the Christian centuries, and in this night we had the beautiful meditation of St. Bernard of Clairvaux, where he portrays the whole of time, the patriarchs, the awaiting centuries, mankind, the angels, and the Godhead itself awaiting in suspense before this word which may or may not come. It's the same with each of us. Most of you here have had in your life a point in time when you had power over your future and over the future of another man and of eventual offspring. It's a mini version of that. You could say, I will, which by the way is sacramental when it's pronounced at the altar, because the ministers of that sacrament are the spouses themselves. And that is binding and has power then in another way to collaborate with the King of Kings and Lord of Lords in repopulating heaven after the loss of fallen angels, that we with God can create, again by consent of will. In parallel, there are occasions when that same power that made us is inviting, on bended knee, for permission to act. It can be through secondary causes. I remember how, after initially things had not worked out in France, I'd gone back to studies, and after the Welsh Mass, my spiritual father pulled out of his pocket a letter out of the blue. He'd written to Ireland, because he was Irish, and there was an invitation there to go and meet the abbot, who was in Wales at the time. So I did, and two things combined there, because I remember my spiritual father saying in Welsh, if you will. And that word was an echo of precisely what is happening in this gospel. Will you? And we can say, I will, fiat, let it be. And so then things combine, because as it happens, the human and the divine can be intertwined. Reaching Cardiff, where the good abbot was filling in for a friend of the community, who eventually became my parish priest down in Cardiff, he was a good, kind, that means a lot if one is in trouble, kind, caring, spiritual father, and I could see it straight away. Now these things matter an awful lot, because in practice, as in marriage, a girl wants a person who's going to be kind to her forever, so too in vocation, a young man or woman is going to be caught or repelled by the radiation coming from key persons. If, for instance, a girl or a man is having continuously troubles in finding a partner forever, it might be something of what happens to a bad community. People come and leave. a lot, one looks at the question, is there a problem? So the human and the divine can actually be very much intermingled. And God can be frustrated because the human is dysfunctional. On the level of the marriage element, Christmas is a time to examine that and perhaps to go back to that initial I will. And is there an element of withdrawal of that, e.g., those specific promises made to love and to cherish, powerful words. Cherish. If bad words come out, they need to be healed at Christmas. It is sad if a Christian family does not feel something of the warmth of Bethlehem at that point. Also, in communities, if it is celebrated on the vertical, normally the horizontal also fits into place, and one thinks over this maximum week of all the graces of past Christmases, because I can tell you, in the monastic life, Christmas is really Christmas. Those long night offices, going with all the generations of ancient chants sung from medieval times and earlier, bring back all the centuries waiting on bended knee. And the 3 masses of Christmas, each sung, each ancient, midnight, crack of dawn and 11 o'clock, all make time stand still. With regard to this, it's tragic that some people don't realize the majesty of man and the power that the will has before God and man, a power which actually can resonate for all eternity, in heaven or in hell. Because at the last resort, at death, it's the same solicitation, and the soul can say yes or no to bliss. But even closer to home, it can be the same. A girl cannot realize the grace that's before her in a kind man, at the moment when she had the possibility to choose. Later on will regret it for a more glamorous one, who in the long run was a bit too glamorous and unfaithful. So to invocation, looking back, I see how the power of some is huge. One can be by nature tendentially open or tendentially over-prudent. I'm here as Father Michael is in Johnstown because Bishop Smith was open and said yes rather than no. So many bishops are very successful at fielding graces. Just think what would have happened to humanity if Our Lady had been so prudent she didn't want to risk her virginity and said no.